Thunder cracks over a black horizon. The air smells of burning pitch. A voice, low urgent, cuts through the dark. Rome's treasure fed to fire. Imagine gold, hauled across seas, stacked in vaulted halls. Gone in minutes, consumed not by empire, not by kings, but by pirates. Not myth, not rumor. A true story. Who would torch the wealth of Rome itself and why? A firelight flickers over ancient coins, charred beams collapsing. This is not just plunder. It is destruction. A rebel act meant to scar memory, and it began where the tide met empire. The year records disagree. Some whisper of the 5th century, others the 9th. But the setting is constant Rome's shadow stretched over Mediterranean waters. Gold caravans. Ships loaded with tribute. One fell night, a band of pirates struck. But unlike others, they made no attempt to keep their treasure. They burned it. Why destroy what all men hunger for? The answer still unsettles historians. And what they lit that night was more than fire. Rome's treasure ships, think of oak hulls groaning with weight, the smell of tar and resin, the iron clang of chains. These weren't merchant ships, they were armored escorts, carrying not just wealth but Rome's pride. Gold from conquered lands, silver from taxes, relics offered by trembling governors. To lose it was humiliation, to see it burned was worse. Her close-up of coins spilling, Roman soldiers shouting, flames reflected on shields. And yet, humiliation was the point. The pirate chief eyewitness accounts name him differently. Some say Genseric the Vandal king, others whisper a nameless captain, a ghost of the seas. He spoke to his men with a voice like gravel, promising not wealth, but vengeance. One fragment claims he declared, "Better ashes than chains." Imagine hearing that, knowing you could either fill your pockets or light them on fire. And yet they followed. But who were they truly defying? Fire at sea, torches hurled. Old jars smashed. The sea itself seemed to burn. Sailors recalled the stink of molten metal, the hiss as coins fell into flame, the screams of Roman guards realizing not even their deaths would save the treasure. Picture the glow on the waves, as if the Mediterranean itself rejected Rome's wealth. Coins melting, pirates' faces lit orange, waves crashing against burning ships, Mini, Hook, and Rome would remember this scar. Why burn gold? Historians argue still. Was it desperation, pirates cornered, choosing fire over surrender? Was it ritual, a sacrifice to gods long abandoned? Or was it statement wealth means nothing if Rome commands it? Amongst chronicle written decades later claims villagers spoke of cursed smoke that darkened the sun. And smoke has a way of spreading. Ripples of terror for Rome, the fire was worse than theft. A thief can be hunted. A rebel can be punished. But a man who torches gold shows the world that power can be mocked. Word spread like plague across the Mediterranean. Rome was not invincible. In taverns and marketplaces, men whispered, even their treasure burns. Keep peasants murmuring in candlelight, coins blackened by fire. And whispers can topple empires. If you want more true stories where empires fall to unlikely hands, subscribe. More forgotten moments of history are waiting. Rome's rage. Imagine the Senate chambers, marble echoing with shouts. Senators slammed fists on tables. Generals spoke of vengeance. But how do you fight men who don't value what you protect? Gold was Rome's blood, and these pirates had bled it into the sea. One senator reportedly spat, "They would rather see the world ash than bow to us." Roman Senate debating, shadows, clenched fists, maps unrolled, and in that fury, cracks widened. A message to the world. To allies, Rome seemed weak. To enemies, Rome seemed mortal. Pirates, men without nation, without armor, had humiliated the empire. And they hadn't just robbed it, they mocked it. Chronicles note that in Carthage, children sang rhymes about Rome's burning treasure, while in Constantinople, traitors smirked as they haggled with Roman envoys. Rome's aura of control dimmed, ember by ember. But the pirates' triumph came at a cost. The price of defiance. Gold, once burned, cannot be spent. Coins cracked and blackened were of no use. Many pirates starved in winters that followed. One surviving fragment tells of a crewman begging for bread in a fishing village, holding out a handful of scorched silver. The villagers laughed. He died by the docks. Victory had its own hunger. Emaciated sailor, burnt coins in hand, waves breaking quietly, and hunger can break even legends. The man behind the fire, whoever he was, Vandal king, nameless captain, or a phantom stitched by rumor, his story outlived his body. Roman scribes erased his name, but they could not erase the fire. That act became a symbol whispered among rebels for centuries. When peasants rose, when mercenaries deserted, they spoke of the pirates who burned Rome's gold. Fire had become a language. And languages can spread farther than armies. Smoke in the records. Not all historians believe it. Some argue the fire was exaggeration, that treasure was stolen, not destroyed. But fragments from four corners of the Mediterranean repeat the same theme: burning, smoke, ash. Whether fact or myth, the story carried weight, and in history weight is power. Her monks writing in candlelight, ash drifting from parchment, coins half melted in soil, and power often lies in belief itself. What Rome feared most. Rome did not fall from a single blow. But stories like these chipped away at its myth of eternity. The empire depended on awe. Once peasants and soldiers began to see that awe burn away, loyalty became fragile. Pirates could not conquer Rome. But they could teach others that Rome could bleed, and lessons once learned cannot be unlearned. Har waves crashing, and the sound of coins hissing in flame. Embers across centuries the fire faded, but the smoke lingered in memory. Monks in cloisters scribbled warnings of sea, wolves who mocked empire. A fisherman's grandson in Syracuse recalled his grandfather saying, "The horizon burned red for 3 nights." Whether true or not, the tale carved itself into Mediterranean folklore. Gold could vanish, but memory never rusts. Candlelit monk writing, smoke curling into vaults, children whispering near fire, and folklore has teeth when nations weaken. Rome's slow unraveling, historians remind us empires don't fall in a single storm, they erode. Grain shortages, border raids, betrayals in palaces. Yet stories like the burning of Rome's gold were accelerants. Soldiers muttered, "If pirates can shame the eagle, why die for it?" Fear is one thing. Contempt is another. Rome could withstand fear. It could not survive contempt. And contempt spreads faster than legions march. A pirate's funeral pyre. One legend claims the pirate chief himself died not in battle, but alone on a beach. A shepherd found him staring at the horizon, clutching a charred coin. Before death took him, he whispered, "Better ashes than chains." Was it true? Perhaps not, but the story survives because it feels true. History feeds on such bones. A lone figure on stormy shore, coin glinting in dying firelight. And bones can carry whole legends on their backs. Lessons in fire. What does it mean to burn well? To spit at the world's greatest empire and deny yourself the very prize of conquest. Some call it madness. Others call it genius. Every society fears not the thief who steals, but the rebel who refuses value itself. Rome could fight swords, it could not fight ideas. And fire, once lit, spreads in the mind. Echoes in the modern world. Centuries later, rebels in faraway lands borrowed the same script. Better to torch fields than feed invaders. Better to burn cities than let enemies rule them. The pirate's blaze had become a playbook. Even in modern warfare, commanders whisper of scorched earth. Strategies born from ancient defiance. Her modern soldiers retreating, fields aflame, ancient ruins dissolving into modern battlefields. And so, one night's fire shapes wars to this day. The gold that would not buy silence. Rome tried to erase the story. Official scrolls were burned. Chroniclers were silenced. Yet silence itself spread the tale. People asked, why hide it if it never happened? The act of suppression gave the fire oxygen. In the end, the attempt to bury the pirate's defiance only deepened its roots, and buried roots grow hardest to kill. The human coast amidst legend. Don't forget the men. Sailors roasted alive on burning decks. Farmers who never saw the taxes they paid reach Rome. Families in distant provinces who lost savings when tribute vanished. History is grand, but it is also small. The cough of a child in a smoke-filled port. This was not just empire versus pirates. It was human lives consumed in fire. A close-up of child coughing, ashes drifting over docks, family clutching each other in fear. Meanie hook and fire always demands payment in flesh. Ashes and chains in the end. Whether pirates burned Rome's gold in one night of fury, or whether the tale grew larger with retelling, one truth remains: empires depend on symbols. Rome's symbol was wealth eternal. When even that burned, a seed of doubt was planted that no legion could uproot. So when you hear of rebels torching treasures, cities, even their own homes to deny them to oppressors, remember the pirates. Remember the night the Mediterranean burned gold. Remember that some victories lie not in taking, but in destroying. And sometimes, ashes weigh more than treasure. If you want more stories where forgotten rebels humiliate empires, subscribe. The past is full of fire waiting to be uncovered.